searching for this all my life. You're just my type. I've been looking for a boy who can treat me right. Your dark hair, but those eyes so bright.
Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Shenanigans NYC edition. I was supposed to have Mr. Loverboy on the podcast this week, but he was unavailable after all. So thanks to Gibson Johns, we're going to have a fun gab sesh. How are we doing today?
Sash. You know, I had so much fun last time.
Yeah.
I'll come on here anytime.
No, I love
Really.
it. So thank you for,
Of course.
being available and getting into some shenanigans
I
with
love
me.
shenanigans.
I had so much fun with you last time when we did this with Hannah, and
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, Kyle can't do it. I'm like, Gibson. Like, there was like no question. I'm like, let me get my boy. So if you guys haven't already, he has an awesome podcast called Gabbing with Gib. I saw Lindsay was just on there.
Yes,
so
had
we'll
Lindsay on
definitely
today. Yeah.
talk about that. But how are you? How have you been since I saw you last?
I'm good. Just trying to build the show.
Yeah.
Honestly. It's like being an independent person.
Yeah.
It's stressful, but I like it. It's just like, okay, we're always on. We're
Yeah.
always. But
Yeah.
it's fun. I mean, it's like the show's doing really well. I had the Comments by Celebs girls on recently, and
Uh-huh.
the Comments by Celebs spec is real. Like,
Yeah.
they really blew it out for me. So it's been fun.
Good.
It's been really fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I'm just like on one today because I was in bed at around 12:31. My daughter
Okay.
wakes up around 3. I had to leave for the airport at 4. Straight on the plane, coffee, straight to a car, traffic, coffee. And I'm like, oh, I forgot to eat today. I've just been
You mean like bus,
on
club, another
the
club,
go.
another club.
Yeah. So while I was on the plane just drinking coffee, prepping for this last minute, I've just taken a bunch of notes. And so we've had a lot of good TV on.
it's kind of overwhelming. With
Literally?
the Pump Rules, the Summer House.
I know.
You know, so we had Summer House, Martha's Vineyard, it's
Yeah.
the Valley. It's like there's so much good
So much.
shit on.
I mean, okay, so VPR season 11 wrapped last week. We had the Summer House finale, the reunion this week,
Two
the
parts.
Valley finale. Finally, Real Housewives of Dubai is back. I
Yeah.
was like, what happened to this show? I watched it 2 years ago and then it was just gone. That was like the longest pause ever.
I literally looked it up. It premiered on June 2nd, 2022, and
Yeah.
came back June 1st, 2024. It's
Crazy.
been exactly 2 years.
Literally
It's
2
really
years.
wild.
I
And
had to look it up
premiered
too.
at BravoCon,
Yeah.
where they screened it.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there,
Mhm.
but I think maybe because there were so many shows on at the beginning of this year, like it was like crowded.
Yeah.
You know? I think everything kind of premiered around BravoCon. I think it was smart for them to wait, even though it was
Yeah.
kind of weird. It's like petty drama. It's like kind of perfect for the summer. Like
Yeah.
it's been a little serious
Totally.
on Bravo recently. Like, let's balance it out.
Yeah. Is it petty with a purpose drama?
Petty with a purpose.
God, if he makes merch, I can't. But okay, let's talk about some of the petty drama
Okay.
on Dubai. I haven't seen the full episode
Okay.
yet, but I saw a clip from the premiere where is it Chanel and is it Lisa? Or who's arguing about the Beyonce? Like who had the better
Yeah.
VIP experience?
It was like Chanel and Lisa had VVIP, which
Yeah.
meant they were like with Kendall Jenner and Tina Knowles
Yeah.
and like the celebs, but their seats were like nosebleed seats. And then the other ones
Mhm.
were not in VVIP, they were in regular
like
VIP.
sweat dripping on you.
Yeah, and they're literally like
Yeah.
getting her sweat. So like, I get pick your poison,
Right.
pick your experience. But they're fighting over that. And you know what? Like fighting over a VIP at a Beyonce concert, like that's the kind of shit that I need right now.
Well, and that's what's great for reality
Yes.
TV. You know, it's like the type of catty, petty drama where it's not damaging to anyone's
Mhm.
family or brand or anything. It's like the type of petty shit you want to watch on these shows.
100%. They haven't gotten to the
Yeah.
damaging stuff yet. You know what I
No,
mean?
no,
Those
I'm
go-
sure we will,
No, I'm
for sure.
And like I think those women will kind of do whatever it takes to like make a good show.
Yeah.
Probably. But like kudos to them and like let's keep it light for now.
Yeah.
You know?
What experience would you rather have at a Beyonce concert or like anyone you're a big fan of? Would you rather be in like the VIP box or would you
Mm.
rather be up close and personal?
I've been front row at a Beyonce concert, so I'll
Yeah.
take the VVIP.
Right? Yeah.
No, I mean, I think front row is like kind of, if you haven't done that ever before somebody
Totally.
you love, it's like, there's nothing that matches that. It's like
I
you're
agree.
like you're in tears, you're chills,
Yep.
you're whatever. You can see like their pores, but
Mhm.
like, hobnobbing with Kendall Jenner and Tina Knowles, like, I'm not gonna pass that.
I
I'm not gonna pass on
know.
that.
So when I saw Beyonce last year in LA, we had the like VIP box. I mean, it wasn't Kendall Jenner or anyone, but I was
was
so far. It's so
Yeah.
fun. I'm like just watching the screen the whole time. And Kyle Chan was like right there in the front row and he just kept sending me videos. So I was just posting those videos so people thought that was my view. I was like,
I love it.
no one knows.
You know what?
They just know I'm at
Keep it
Beyonce.
up. Keep up the streak. Like, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Totally. But yeah, I love that kind of drama. It's not dark. It's not heavy. It's just, you know, it's what we need. And I feel like it's kind of what we were missing on Vanderpump Rules
Yes.
this season. And that's what I've seen so many comments of people saying how much they loved the Secrets Revealed episode and how they wanted more of that. Like my little summer moon, just,
Oh.
you know, deadpan into the camera. She's like, oh my gosh, I loved those moments.
No, I think that could have brought more balance to the season. too,
Yeah.
and just more levity to it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I understand why it got so dark. I understand why it got so serious, obviously. But,
Mhm.
you know, at least personally, I don't necessarily watch these shows to like watch a downfall or watch it get like too dark. Like,
Right.
ultimately, I want to laugh a little bit.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I want to have fun.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like too, just watching the Summer House finale and seeing all of the girls just really rally. I feel like that's definitely what all of the Vanderpump Rules viewers were expecting this season. And we got so just, I don't even know what the right word is,
I
you
know.
know, just kind of taken in a different direction.
I know. And I think that that's kind of what, like, to me, that's what West and Jesse brought to Summer House.
Mhm.
They brought the humor and the fun, and
Yep.
they were like totally green. They never done this
Yeah.
before. That's what and Summer House was really serious, but there was a balance.
Right.
And that's to me what made it such a compelling season.
Yeah.
And like but it's hard for you guys to insert new people and to have those new perspectives
I
that really
know.
work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
And
don't
the new
know.
people we had were Joe.
Which
We don't need her
I
perspective.
don't even really consider that she
Yeah. No, you know, like,
No, I
Oh
don't need to
my
be like
gosh.
what was she doing, like comparing the dirty feet with
Yeah.
sports? That was tough to see.
there were some scenes between just some of the apartment scenes on our show and the Valley where I'm like, I just feel a little sad right now, okay? Like I'm in my house and I'm
Yeah.
like, it's just kind of depressing. It's like you like to get back to some of that apartment living for that realness. But then I'm
Yes.
like, you used to have a house. And now we're doing a spa day in your apartment while everyone's in Big Bear. And it just
That-
made me a little sad.
That
for
was a
them.
tough scene. I will say, like, I like that they sort of leaned into it in a way, but like, and they like embraced it. But I agree that the comparison of the Big Bear mansion
Yeah.
to that with like the CBS foot massagers or whatever they were, that was tough to see.
It was hard to watch.
Yeah.
That and the dirty feet. I'm with you on that. But I do want to get more into
Yeah, we will.
Valley and Summer House. But first, Real Housewives of New Jersey
Yes.
announced this week that they are not going to be having a reunion. I know the Valley's not having a reunion either. But Andy, I guess he was talking to Kiki on Reality
Right.
Checked, and he said that they would be doing some other type of programming in lieu of the reunion, that the final scene serves as the reunion itself. So what do you think they might do here? Like maybe what they did season 10 a little bit with some one-on-one, like Tom Sandoval, Ariana Raquel interviews.
So my first instinct was that I thought about BravoCon. How the past 2
Mhm.
years they've separated them into two separate panels,
Right.
So they could do sort of two separate reunions. But I think what you
Uh-huh.
miss out on there is any sort of like real resolution, because if
Totally.
you're separating,
Can't get it.
okay, this side and that side,
Yeah.
what are they resolving?
Yeah.
On, you know, if it's like just Teresa and Jen Aiden, like what are they resolving with
Right.
Melissa and Margaret? You
Yeah.
know? I do think one-on-ones would be really amazing, especially if they are considering like a really big rehaul on Jersey where it's
Uh-huh.
like, are we saying goodbye to Teresa or Melissa or maybe both? Like, I don't know what that looks
Yeah.
like, but like if it's the end of the road for either of them, it would be kind of cool to see a one-on-one sit down,
Mhm.
either like with them and Andy or one-on-one
Right.
separately. It would be a ratings gold.
Yeah. Why do you think they announced this so early on in the season? Like to
I
get
think
ahead of like cast leaks or
Well, I guess Dave Quinn at People Reported it, so like
Yeah.
I don't know if that means that they wanted it out or not.
Yeah.
I think it takes some of the air out of the season. Like it's
Uh-huh.
like if you know we're not going to get some sort of
Right.
true resolution at the end of the season, it loses some of the appeal of following it. I'm still really invested in it, obviously, but like
same.
I think that like for the general viewer, it might take some of it out of it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that they're like super happy that it leaked
Yeah, because it's
4
like
episodes into the season.
no, it's so early,
Mhm.
and you look forward to those reunions. Like it's such a bummer that the Valley isn't having one,
God.
which will
It's like
get more
I
into, I'm
interviewed
sure.
Danielle Cabral from Jersey
Yeah.
at the beginning of the season, and she was already talking about how she was, prepping her receipts folder in her
Mhm.
phone for the reunion. It's like, well, there goes that.
Yeah, and from just what I've heard is that everyone in Jersey is on a little bit of a can't
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, because I think there's also some other stuff that's happening with like fan accounts and things like that.
Heard about that.
I haven't been able to follow it. I think it's like
Mhm.
really confusing and really in the weeds. But
Yeah,
it seems like the kind of thing that sort of blows down the fourth wall in like a way that sort of
totally.
there's a manipulation of the show happening
Yeah.
allegedly. So like that's something that like they don't. No, I mean I don't think they want anybody talking about that. And that
Yeah.
would probably come up at the reunion. So that I think that's probably a factor as well.
Mhm. Do you think there's any hope for Teresa and Melissa to mend their relationship?
I don't. I think
Yeah.
that they.
What if they weren't even on the show together, like down the line?
That's a good question. I mean, it's been interesting watching the season because they both are having a very similar experience in life of sending their daughters off to college. And it's
I
actually really
know.
sad watching it happen
know.
kind of side by side, but totally separate. And you have to think about like the cousins that like,
Mhm.
do they talk at all? Do they,
Right.
and it's like, that makes me really sad. I mean, the show is probably the reason for the whole divide. So
Mhm.
if you take that out of it, maybe in 10 years, you know what I mean? I just think that this season, last reunion and this season, it's been so refreshing that like they finally just admitted they hate each other,
Mhm.
at least for now. And like we're not pretending to make up. We're not
Right.
pretending to like try to get along. Like they just don't like each other as people, and they're not going to agree for this foreseeable future. So I'm actually finding that refreshing that we're not having to like go through that again with them.
Yeah.
now.
Then it's like, yeah, where do you go on a show
don't know.
like that when you do have two cast members who hate each other? Like we do as well, you know? It's like, where does it go?
Right. And it's like Teresa to many people is the quote face of
Mhm.
Jersey because she's the only OG remaining.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa's also been on for like 11 or 13,
Yeah.
12 years or whatever it is. So it's just hard to imagine that show without either one
I
of
know.
them.
I can't.
And like they did it on New York, but like to me, that's just a different show
Mhm.
almost. To me, the current New York, I like it, but it's not the same as the old New York.
Agreed.
I just think it's a different show.
Yeah.
So maybe they just make Jersey a different show, but it's like,
I mean,
it kind of blows your mind a little bit, especially like for somebody like you who's like,
yeah.
you've been intersecting with these women probably, at BravoCons and different events and things
Mm-hmm.
over the years. It's like, they're just part of the DNA of this network at this point,
I
as you
know.
guys are.
Yeah. And when you're removed from the show, it's like, it's okay to be friends with everyone. But
Right.
then when it comes time for like podcast guests, I always go to Dolores first. That's my girl. She's always safe.
We love the woman who rides in the middle.
Then I'm
and,
like,
really,
oh,
right.
Who's
I know.
getting along with who?
I
Who's going to
know.
get mad at me if this?
Is it weird for you when like somebody like that or somebody who you've known for a while, just like on another show, and then they don't get asked back, or like
Crystal.
what's that like for you? Oh, Crystal.
You
I
know, she's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, I love Crystal so
but
much.
I understand that it wasn't really the life for her. I have gotten to know her really well over the last couple of years.
Mhm.
And so, like, she's fine with the decision.
Yeah.
And she's still going to live the same life, you know? But for me as a viewer, I'm like, damn, my friend's
Yeah.
not on the show anymore.
Yeah.
Like, same with Teddy. I got really close with her, and then all of a sudden she wasn't on the show
Right.
anymore. And I actually just talked to her today. She called me and she was like, wait, are you going to Jax's tonight for the viewing party or
Oh,
whatever?
the viewing
So I
party.
guess my name's being thrown around. They're like, Sheena's going to be here. I'm like, Sheena's in New York.
Don't attach my name.
So
to this.
I was like, I'm not
They're trying to draw you
there.
in with draw people in
Yeah,
with your
but she's
name.
like, okay, I just wanted to see. And they're like, well, you're not going to call her, are you? And she's like, of course I'm going to call Scheana. Like, we may say stuff on our podcast, but we know there's business, there's friendship,
Right.
and like,
If you were in town, would you be going to that?
yeah, I would go.
Okay,
If all the
okay.
girls went, I
Yeah,
would go.
right.
I'm not going to support the men on that
Got it.
show.
Got it.
But I'm like, I can be a girl's girl.
of course.
You put me in the right group of girls, I got your back.
You're in the music video for Girls Girl,
It's-
Scheana.
Yeah, right? God, it's so tough where just on like Vanderpump Rules, it's like I didn't come into this show with a group of welcoming women.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's hard is like people have always just seen me as this like guy's girl. And I'm like, no, it was just the guys were nicer to me in the beginning. That's all.
That was just your circumstance coming
Yeah.
into the situation.
It's so
yeah.
different.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick little break and then we're going to get into some Summer House. Be right back. All right, y'all, whether you're staying home or heading out on summer explorations, KiwiCo is inviting kids and kids at heart to enjoy their first ever summer adventure series. Now, obviously, this has a double meaning for me because my daughter's name is Summer, and I'm so excited for Summer to go on her summer adventure series with KiwiCo and myself and Brock. As someone who did not grow up the most creative with the arts and crafts as a kid, I love that KiwiCo makes it fun and easy so I can do these hands-on projects with my daughter. Kids from 2 years old to teens can receive 6 hands-on science and art project kits for over 6 weeks with enriching content and fun activities to accompany each project. And what I love about KiwiCo is they have something for everyone and they offer different topics for each age. So whether your child wants to explore space or learn about dinosaurs, they have something for you. I still to this day remember the first KiwiCo box that we got, and it was making this felt rainbow pillow for my rainbow baby, and she absolutely loved it. Since then, we have had so many other really fun projects and noisemakers and things that we can play with outside and bubbles, and Summer absolutely loves her summer adventure kits. As a parent, it can be hard to find creative ways to keep your children busy and challenged, and KiwiCo does the legwork for you so you can just spend that quality time tackling projects together. And I want to repeat, there is something for kids of all ages, convenient and personalized. You can receive all of your summer adventure crates at once or weekly for 6 weeks. Build the best summer ever with KiwiCo. Get 20% off your summer adventure series at kiwico.com/summerhoney. That's 20% off your summer adventure at kiwico.com/summerhoney. Say hello to your IRL makeup filter in a bottle. That's right. I'm telling you again about the new Covergirl Simply Ageless Skin Perfector Essence because it is all I have been wearing on my face. I've worn it just by itself because it is coverage enough. I've also mixed it with my favorite foundation for a little more of a full coverage at night when I'm performing with my band. I'm going to be on stage. I'm getting my photo taken. I add a little bit of my foundation because it is just the perfect mix. So this is a skincare makeup hybrid. It makes your skin look plump, refreshed, and more youthful. And it's really cool because it was developed using microdroplet technology. So it's this refreshing formula that provides an instant burst of hydration. Forget this, up to 24 hours. The pigmented capsules burst and blend to give an even sheer tint while reducing the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. And for someone my age, pushing 40, that is exactly what I want in my foundation, my makeup in a bottle, my skincare makeup hybrid. This is something you're not going to find from any other drugstore brand. And you could feel free to compare it to like a $70 brand. It contains 71% water that provides an instant burst of moisture upon application. And I'm going to repeat, it keeps your skin hydrated for up to 24 hours, leaving you with a radiant bare skin filter effect. Your complexion looks plump, refreshed, and more youthful. And it's available in 8 adaptable shades to complement all skin tones. Only from Easy Breezy Beautiful Covergirl. Okay, so obviously I know Lindsay's your girl.
Yep.
So I gotta ask all things Summer House finale. Just in general, what did you think?
It was an amazing episode of television.
Yeah.
Like, it just really was. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, it's the conversation that we had known had happened
Yeah.
since last August.
Mhm.
It's been over 9 months.
Oh, it's been a while.
It's been a really long time. And like, there were obviously interviews that were done around BravoCon, but like between BravoCon and essentially when the show started
Mhm.
airing, we really haven't learned that much about what happened there
Yeah.
publicly. And
Unless you were in Mexico. I'm just kidding.
I was in Mexico, so were you. We were not together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just so, it paid off, I think, the
Mhm.
lead up to this. And like, obviously this is a real situation that happened.
Yeah.
Real heartbreak on both sides, I would
Yeah.
say. But and so, you obviously want to be like delicate when talking about it because, people's lives were blown up on both sides,
Yeah.
and like, it's really sad, but ultimately it's like, one, I think all of us are team. They should not have gotten married and they did not get married. And that's great.
Absolutely.
I think we're all kind of aligned
Yeah.
there. But just seeing the conversation and just
Yeah.
like having seen all of the fights they went through,
Mhm.
all of the different topics that they had talked about, it came to a head in a way that it almost felt like one of those scenes that you shouldn't be watching. It
Yeah.
almost like some of the scenes from your guys' finale last year, the
Mhm.
Scandal episode. It felt like some of those scenes where it's like, whoa, this is so intimate.
Yeah, it's very fly on the wall.
Very
Like,
fly on the wall.
now we're talking to producers and you're just getting all of it.
All of it. All of it. And like, you know, I just loved how the first half of the episode was sort of like teeing it up and like that was what they were
Mhm.
actually supposed to film, and that usually it would cut to black. Usually it shows
Right.
all those 9 squares and
Yeah.
it's like do. But then we got the 3 days later.
No.
Chills.
Seriously.
Chills.
So did you think that it was a breakup or a postponement? Like, I'm just not ready to get married, but like, let's keep working on our relationship. Because I felt like, and it could have been the editing,
Mhm.
but it was like he said, you know, before we get married, we have some things to work on or to iron out, whatever. 3 days later, he says, we're supposed to get married in 2.5 months. I'm not ready to do that. So it's like, was it a postponement that she then took his rejection, or?
I think it was kind of mixed messaging.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's what I think is the really hard part. Is like, on the one hand, he sort of was insinuating like a postponement of some
Mhm.
sort, but then he also is saying that like he thinks that she wishes that he would relapse and things like he was saying really hurtful things to her
Yeah.
that kind of insinuated he didn't even like her. You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
I think that, you know, it looked like he was saying both things, honestly.
Right.
And
That's
so
I was confused. I'm
yeah.
like, is this editing
Right.
or
Right. And so like, I think if you're Lindsay and who I just had on my podcast this
Mhm.
week, you know, it's like, it's pretty clear what you're getting at essentially. And like, why are we just like beating around the bush here essentially? Like that's,
Yeah.
I think what her perspective on it was, as she parlayed it to me. And yeah, I don't know. It's like, it kind of left me speechless a little bit. I have to
Yeah. Did you feel like she was blindsided?
I understand why she felt blindsided.
Yeah.
I think from an outsider's perspective, where we saw conversations on both sides happening, where
Yeah.
we saw every fight from a bird's eye view, you can be like, obviously, like, how could she not see this coming? Like,
Right.
that's an easy perspective to have, and I understand that. But also, I think that she's just somebody who loves so hard. She was so in it. Their perspectives were just different.
I know.
Like her perspective was like, I will fight through anything to make this work. I want
Yeah.
the fairy tale. You know, I think that she was a little bit like, she had some blinders on. I think she would say
Yeah.
that. So I think when you're operating from that perspective, yeah, you're going to feel blindsided by
Mhm.
this. If you're operating from Carl's perspective, it's like, we've been openly fighting. You know, this shouldn't be a shock.
Yeah.
And like, I understand both those perspectives. And so,
In true Sheena
Yeah.
form, you know, you see both sides.
no, I really
you live
do.
in the
And
gray,
like,
and that's where I
really,
feel too.
Yeah, I really do. And like, people like can get frustrated, I think, with me for like saying things like that. But I don't know if I believe fully that like he went into that conversation not wanting to like pull something drastic about their relationship or wedding. That's personally how I feel, because he came in with
Yeah.
a different energy than
Yeah.
the scene.
And if that scene was really right after the Kyle one, there was something that Amanda said. I
Mhm.
took a note of this on
Yeah.
the after show, where she said to Kyle, he needs support, not direction. And I was like, I didn't know I needed to hear that so much, where it's like she didn't want Kyle to influence Carl's decision one way or another.
Mhm.
And, you know, I can be a people pleaser, a flip flopper, and have those tendencies and whatnot. It's all been shown on all of Vanderpump Rules. But it's like, whether it's my mom, a producer,
Right.
you know, my husband or whoever, it's like, I realize that I haven't always set the best boundaries in navigating those moments where I feel like I need support over direction. And then it's like, I feel like I need to kind of take that direction and make someone happy, even if it's at my own detriment. But just when I heard her say that, I was like, that was just a really interesting
Yeah.
perspective, because Kyle could have went into that conversation and really convinced him of one way.
He could have.
And so even though he, you know, probably took his wife's advice and wasn't doing that, I'm wondering, was it the tone or the questions he asked that made
Mhm.
Carl kind of go in a little hot? Because until I saw that, you know, obviously I've been closer with
Yeah.
Carl. I've known Lindsay, we've been friends, you
I've known
know,
both
for a
of them for a long
while.
time as
But I've
well.
known both
Yeah.
for a long time. But having then seen it after hearing their sides, like
Mhm.
BravoCon, I got Lindsay's a little more through like Katie or Ariana,
Right.
and then I got Carl's through Carl. And so hearing it and then watching it back, I'm like, okay, well, I do see both sides. I see, from my understanding, there was a check-in from production, like, how are things going since we wrapped? And Carl said, like, not great or whatever. There was then a group chat between Carl, Lindsay, and production, like, we're going to film something else. So I don't think it was he called the cameras. It was just when they checked in with him, it was like, no, things aren't good. And like, I don't know what to do. And they're like, maybe we just need to continue the story a little longer. I don't know what Lindsay's side of that part is, but I do know there was a group chat between the three of them, which I'm like, I get that, because if you just wrap the season and then 3 days later you announce that you're postponing it, like, that's going to piss off everyone on production, because it's like, okay, so you weren't being real.
Right.
You know, so I get that side. And it's like, you need resolution, obviously, when it is a season finale. But I want to say, in like Lindsay's defense, on the flip side, I feel like there can be a lot of elevated tension when you're filming. I think maybe she thought they might be able to work through their issues once cameras wrapped, once wedding planning was done, when there's not that stress. I know better than anyone what it's like to get married on national television. And I really empathized with her, just having that wedding tunnel vision where it's like, you may have warning signs and you're ignoring them, and maybe everything doesn't feel right, but you just think like, no, this is my best friend. It's going to get better. We're going to figure it out. And that was me with Shay. So when I was watching that, I didn't see an activated Lindsay in that moment. I saw someone who was heartbroken, who did seem caught off guard. But then I go to Carl and I'm like, when I sat down with Shay and I said I wanted a divorce, in no way, shape, or form did I plan on going into that conversation asking for a divorce. It was supposed to be a resolution.
Wow.
It genuinely was. And when I knew that he was lying to my face about if he had bought any pills or done any, I knew for a fact that he was lying. In that moment, it just switched. So I don't know if there was something that, like, maybe Carl was like, let's postpone it. But then there was something that just switched. I'm like, I don't know, because I see both sides and I'm like, fuck, like, I've been the Lindsay and then I've been the Carl, where I'm like, this is so tough. And you just see two people who loved each other so much, who have been best friends for 8 years, who were planning a life together. And it's just like, we can't get on the same page.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, you know, you see, like, I compare also like Lindsay's reactions this season to reactions in seasons past. Like, there's been such a change there, I think, with the work she's done on herself. I think she also kind of saw Carl's, I think what she said to me was like his year of transition. There was like a transitional year for him. So she wanted to give him grace in terms of that. In terms of like, that was maybe a reason for them to have all these issues right now. I also think it's like, when you're having a wedding, like, I've had other friends call off weddings, and it's like, there's so much guilt attached to that in terms of like all the people you're laying down.
We couldn't get our money back.
It
was like, wait, hold on. It's already past the date.
And then, it's like, there's so much attached to it.
Yeah.
It's like, again, on all sides of the equation. It's like, you know, and I'm presuming it was going to be filmed for something. So like,
I'm sure in some capacity.
Yeah, I'm sure in some capacity that was involved as well. So it's like, it was just such a fascinating conversation to see.
Yeah.
And it broke the fourth wall in the perfect amount, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that it leaked literally like hours later, and then like they didn't have any sort of response prepared. I think that caught them both off guard.
Yeah, I remember when I saw that, I immediately text Paige. I wasn't going to text Carl or Lindsay, obviously.
As well.
And I text Paige, and she's like, I just saw this too. And I'm like, but is it real? And then I'm like, that's just crazy. It was like days after the deadline of getting your money back for it that I'm like, there's no way. But then the resort was nice enough, and I know they did offer people their money back.
I got a refund on the resort, not the flight.
Yeah, right? And I was like, you know what? We already planned to go. We had everything set up. But I was so glad that we still went, because we made so many new friends. Like, Carl and Lindsay have such a great group of friends that
around them.
I know that that's hard for them too, because they're friends with both of them. They've known them both for years. But we ended up having a really fun trip and made new friends.
Meanwhile, I was an hour away having a solo vacation. No, but yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, I think that this season, again, I know it was incredibly hard for like everybody involved. Carl and Lindsay in particular, obviously their lives were completely changed from this. It's gonna go down in history though, as this season will. I just think like they're 8 years in, they're having their most pivotal kind of zeitgeisty season they've ever had.
Yeah.
And I think it just speaks to, the attachment that we've all kind of grown for these people that have been on our screens for so long. It's just one of those moments that like, you're like, whoa, why are we so invested in this? Oh, this is
Right.
because, and I don't know. I think that shows just done such a good job of like building those things up for us.
Yeah.
And it's a great group of people. It really
Yeah.
is. It really is.
I loved what Paige said at the reunion too when she was kind of calling out West. She was like, "This is the best season ever" in the group chat. And it's like
so interesting.
two people's lives are like falling apart in front of our eyes, and you're just like, "This is the best season ever." And it was like,
That was a really poignant
Are you-
comment that she made. It was a really, I found that whole segment
completely tone deaf.
of that was a really telling part of the reunion.
Yeah.
That entire segment.
I mean, the side of West no one wanted to see.
Yeah.
He was
The
so
golden boy
likable right off the bat. Like they had such a cute dynamic. And then seeing Sierra get vulnerable and actually
gosh.
have tears, like you don't see that side of her really ever. So that was a really powerful but sad moment as well. And it's like, she really liked this guy.
Oh my God. And they had amazing chemistry. this
Yeah.
season. We were rooting for them.
I
They-
know.
he made
She
her
didn't care that he
giddy.
didn't have a job. Been there.
And there we go. And like, I don't know, it just, it kind of blew up his golden boy image a little bit, which like I think had to have happened. Like you can't
Yeah.
stay that way forever.
Mhm.
But there were moments where he really kind of shut down.
Yeah.
And I found that to be really interesting. I thought Sierra handled the situation so well. She just really let him have it. She shut down things from coming from different sides. And it was just like when Jesse tried to pipe in, she was like, fuck
you.
Jesse."
I know.
I actually laughed.
Same.
Because he also just took it.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He was like,
yep.
all right,
Noted.
all right.
It's like, well, I probably shouldn't say this. They're like, then don't. And he's like, but I'm going to say it anyway. No, so
Yeah.
good. But it was nice to see the girls get along for once because I don't think that's ever happened on that show.
Mm-mm.
I do feel like it's happened before on Vanderpump Rules, but it was so hard to navigate this past year.
What did you see? What did you think when like you saw certain memes and things that were like, there was a screenshot of the group hug on Summer House and it was like, why didn't this happen on Vanderpump Rules?
I know.
Like, what did you think of that?
I felt like that's how the season was starting out.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like that wasn't what was wanted. Not by the audience, but by, others. And it was like, no, we're not going to go in this direction. We need to include everyone.
Obviously on Summer House, it's never really happened. So I think that made that moment even more poignant and powerful. But I just think generally it's a really, it's something that like really kind of like hits home for viewers. And it's something that, it reminds us that it's not all about being divisive and drama and, having makeups and fights and makeups and bites. Like everyone can be on the same page and rally around people and it makes for good moments.
Yeah. I
It's
feel
real
like,
emotion.
yeah, definitely. And I feel like you got some of those moments
Definitely.
this season, and there were also some more that you didn't see. Katie and I had a really cute hug moment at Allie's show that she performed at. And you like saw a little bit of that on
Right.
Secrets Revealed, but you didn't see any of the me and Katie moments. Like we had a lot of those moments this season, but you didn't see any of those because it didn't seem like that was the direction they were wanting to go.
Yeah.
There was a moment after the reunion where Ariana gave me a hug and told me she loved me. And
So nice.
you don't see that. You just see me going straight to Lala.
Mm-hmm.
Even after the beach when we were at the bar and me, Lala, and Ariana had that moment together, like there were moments like that. And I wish you got to see more of those because that's what people wanted.
Right. And I think it's clear there were moments like that
Yeah.
because some of the things kind of like slipped through the cracks of like the Spice Girls references. Like
Mhm.
when I first heard that, I actually had no idea what was being referred to. You know what I mean? Because that
Yeah.
wasn't really set up for us as viewers to be like, oh, like the girls are calling themselves the Spice Girls because like they kind of have a united front and they're like on
Yeah.
the same page about certain things.
Yeah.
But those were kind of just dropped in kind of randomly, It was
Yeah.
interesting.
And hopefully if there is a season 12, everyone comes back, you will get more of that.
Yeah.
I think the pause could not be more needed.
I
And
agree.
I think everyone just needs time to breathe, live their lives, go to Love Island, eat some sandwiches, bake a baby.
Record a podcast.
Literally.
Yeah.
Just like enjoy a summer off for the first time ever.
Completely. And
Yeah.
I low key think that when a show decides to film at a different time of year, I actually think that makes a big difference in terms of changing it up. Like
Yeah.
Miami's on like an extended pause right now. It's
Uh-huh.
going to be filming another time of year. It's actually going to do wonders for that show because
Yeah.
it's just like it's different events, different birthdays, different
Right.
holidays.
It's not going to be Tom Sandoval's
different weather.
birthday, season 12.
There we go.
Like finally,
There we go.
every freaking
I'll miss
season.
the pride scene, but whatever.
Yeah, but it will be nice, like let's say we're filming in the fall
Yeah.
or winter to have some holidays, a Halloween party, a Friendsgiving, a ski trip,
Totally.
like,
It's
do something in the
completely
snow.
different.
We don't always need to be in bikinis.
No.
Yeah, so we'll see.
We'll
Stay
see.
tuned. But we're going to take one more break and we'll be right back. All right, y'all. Rakuten has got to be the most rewarding way to shop and save because here's the best part. Their members can earn cash back on everything they buy. Rakuten is a shopping platform that partners with over 3,500 stores across every category. They have beauty, clothing, electronics, home, department stores, pets, etc. It's like you want it, you name it, they got it. And you're already shopping at your favorite stores, so why not be saving money while doing it? It's basically a no-brainer. Some of my favorite stores are Sephora and Ulta for all things glam that I need, Petco for, my fur babies. And that's what I love is all of these are on Rakuten. So Rakuten is the smartest way to save money when you shop. Membership is free. It's easy to sign up. Cashback rates change daily. And their members have earned over $4.6 billion in cash back. And they have over 17 million members who are already saving. So maximize your savings by stacking cash back on top of other deals like store sales and coupons. The stores pay Rakuten a commission for sending them shoppers. And then Rakuten shares that commission with its members. You get paid via check or PayPal quarterly. So start all your shopping at Rakuten.com or get the Rakuten app to start saving today. Your cash back really adds up. So have you ever found any subscriptions that you forgot about or any you maybe paid twice for and didn't realize it? Because I know that I have. And nearly 75% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about. Before I started using Rocket Money and before Brock started using it, I thought I maybe had, just like a couple subscriptions, but I couldn't believe that when we found out there were so many things we were still paying for, subscriptions monthly. Things that I hadn't thought about in a really long time. So between streaming services, fitness apps, delivery services, it's never ending. But thanks to Rocket Money, I'm no longer wasting money on the things I forgot about. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. With Rocket Money, I have full control over my subscriptions and a clear view of my expenses. I can see all of my subscriptions in one place, and if I see something I don't want, Rocket Money can help me cancel it with just a few taps. It's that easy. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/honey. That's rocketmoney.com/honey, rocketmoney.com/honey. Okay, so enough of Summer House. We did get to see, some resolution on that show, but sadly, we're going to have to wait until next season to see any resolution on the Valley since they're not having a reunion. Okay, so this week's finale.
Where to start?
Extremely eventful. We have, a season of two couples splitting up, famous directors' names being bleeped out, rumors of sexy pics being sent to a mystery celebrity, a baby moon from hell. You wish there's a reunion, right? Like everyone wants the reunion. You don't want to wait for a whole season 2.
No, of course I want a reunion. I'm
Yeah.
glad we got a little bit of the pickup at the end of the finale.
That was really
That
good.
was actually much more than I expected. I texted
Yeah.
that. It was half the episode, which was a welcome surprise.
Yeah.
But in terms of the interpersonal conflict.
Mhm.
There's a lot of that going on in that show that we're not going to see until the premiere of season 2, which is tough to swallow. It's a tough thing to
Right. And that
swallow.
might not be until like early next year.
Right.
That's so long.
So long. And like I think I understand why, but like I guess first seasons don't normally get reunions, but I'm like,
No, but
make an
this is a different
exception.
first
I know.
season,
Oh, I
you
completely
know?
agree. And like
Yeah.
I mean, this was a debut season for the ages, on
Yeah.
the show. And so
The ratings have been great.
give us a Watch What Happens Live 1-parter even,
I mean, that was the plan, but it didn't
Got it.
work out. I think Summer House
would've loved
Martha's
that.
Vineyard got it instead.
Okay.
But yeah, so now we're gonna have to wait for season 2. But I think I said this on my podcast a couple weeks ago. The only thing I think that's good about there not being a reunion is I think if there was a reunion, the cast for season 2 would change. I don't want to say who, but between 2 of the couples, I don't know that both would be returning.
Like a full couple would not
Yeah.
be returning.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
I could have
Interesting.
absolutely seen that if certain things were said to
Okay.
said couple.
So there are certain
I could
things
see
that have
them
been
just
sort
being
of-
like,
there are
this
certain-
doesn't serve me
There are certain
anymore.
things that have been sort of like kind of kept at bay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll see that in season 2 potentially.
Yeah, and then season 3, people might not return.
Got
But
it. And
I think that's what's great is they're not having one because now everyone's like, this is great. We can come
Right.
back and do it again. I'm
do you
like,
also think that like potentially a 1-part reunion would have deepened the divide potentially
Yes.
and like even like isolated certain people more?
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's tough to come back from. as
yeah,
well.
there may have been some resolution in certain areas, but I do think it might have, I think it would have made things worse.
Right,
Really.
which isn't great.
No. Even just, I mean, as recent as this weekend at Pride, I saw Zach. He looked me dead in the eye and he turned away. I go, okay. So that's where
Got
we're
it.
at now. Got it.
Got it.
And you know what? I'm fine with that because some of my thoughts I just wanted to gather.
Okay.
I want to say I'm very proud of Brittany for voicing herself finally
Oh my God.
against Jax.
I love seeing that.
could not be more proud of her. It's never easy to do, especially when you do still love someone, but you know they're just never going to respect you the way you deserve. So that, and just the fact that both women had to be the ones to move out,
I know.
I'm sorry. There's something wrong with that.
I know.
Like-
I know. And it also makes you think about Rihanna not like kind of staking her ground at the house. It's like, but it's like, damn.
But there's
sucks.
kids involved.
No, oh my God, totally.
There's dogs
No,
involved.
no,
But that's what I'm saying.
sucks.
That's worse. That in the sense the women moved out.
And Michelle
Wait.
literally moved like 2 blocks away.
I
Like,
know, she's so
geez.
close.
Oh my gosh. But like, no, I loved seeing Brittany do that. And
Mhm.
it's so interesting that it was like basically like a light bulb moment. for
Yeah.
her. It wasn't really over time. It was
Yeah.
like she essentially like was in an argument and was like, why am I putting up with this?
Yeah.
What the fuck am I doing?
I know.
I have not been treated well.
And it's like Jack's making an appointment the day before cameras picked back up. That's where I love when they're just breaking the fourth
Me
wall
too.
now because it's like, because we're filming today,
And
like,
he never went to the appointment.
right. It's just like,
Yeah. It's wild.
come on.
I know. And like, I always think about that comment that he made about, never open a bar if you want to save your marriage. And then he goes and opens a bar and
Literally.
is like surprised at what happens. And
Mhm.
I thought it was really rich
Mhm.
of when Brittany was talking about how he comes back drunk from that bar every
Mhm.
single night, has
Mhm.
deathly hangovers. And we just saw a couple episodes of him shaming her
Yeah.
for taking one shot. And it's like, she clearly also has like some other health situation happening.
Yeah, she doesn't have a gallbladder.
Right. So like that was really rich turning of the tables.
But then also, at the beginning of the finale party, he goes, let's do a shot to
I
celebrate.
noticed that too, Scheana.
But don't get too drunk. I have a speech to do. I'm like, what is this whiplash?
What is this?
what the
whiplash? What do you
fuck?
want?
Literally,
What do you
I
want?
could
Are we
not
having a
believe
drink
he
cap? Like, what-
suggested
He was
A
like,
shot.
let's take a celebratory shot for everybody.
never drink again. Let's do a shot. I'm like, which one is it?
Dude,
Dude. Janet
Janet.
didn't get the best edit.
She did not.
She is my friend. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to have her. I mean, they're all my friends. Literally, like, this is my friend group outside of Vanderpump Rules. But like, Kristen blaming Janet for all of the drama over the Michelle Republican racist saga.
Right.
And it's like, we literally saw it earlier in the season that Zach admitted that he was the one who had embellished it.
mm-hmm.
And then Zach saying Janet's messy. And there's this like whole montage trying to just craft that narrative. Like, fuck off. Also, you don't see it. I don't know if it happened and they cut it or it happened after cameras went down. But Janet was like so upset and she was just like, you're literally like giving me contractions. I feel like I could have a miscarriage. And for him to say, I don't care if you have one, it's just like,
Oh my God. I mean, Janet was on my podcast, and that's sort of when the clip from that is what sort of
Yeah.
caused the comment war to happen.
oh, that's where it was.
It was on
That's
my
right. Yeah,
podcast,
yeah.
and,
I
like,
saw that.
And they clearly have much more of a history than we have seen on
Oh,
the
there's a
show.
lot. I mean,
Right,
there's
and, like,
years of it.
Totally. Like, they didn't speak for years, I guess,
Yeah.
before filming started. Like, that's something that I want to hear more about, because I feel like on his side, it's being very much glossed over,
Mhm.
because it sounds like he, at least from Janet's perspective, was in the wrong for a lot of
Mhm.
different things, including a allegedly really disgusting comment that was made about her
He
pregnancy.
said a lot of problematic
Right.
things.
So
over the
it's like,
years.
it was frustrating to see her get that edit, because
Mm-hmm.
but I also think we did see him like kind of still, she was like, I'm 8 months pregnant. Like Michelle was like, she's 8 months pregnant. Like, shut
Yeah.
the fuck up. And he still started yelling at her. And I was
Yeah.
like,
When I think he even told her to fuck off before she said, like, I'm done, I'm leaving. But then you see her say, like, I'm done. And then he's like, yeah, fucking leave. Like, get the, I was
Exactly.
like,
yeah.
no, I
I
think,
think
it
he
was
was
a
looking
little.
for a moment a little bit.
Totally.
Yeah.
And also, it's like, okay, Zach, if you're capable of saying something like that to say you don't care if a baby literally dies, but then you're butthurt that you're not invited on the baby moon, I think this just goes to show why you weren't invited on the baby moon.
Exactly.
And he did sound super entitled on that phone call and was just like, I should be invited. Basically, like, I'm a cast member on the show. This is the cast trip. I need my episodic fee and I should be there. And it's like,
Mhm.
no, that's not how it works.
Right.
You know, same as if it was Ariana's trip. Tom Sandoval should not be invited. Tom
Exactly.
Schwartz, no.
It's
like,
sort of like luck of the draw between whose trip it is, I guess.
yeah,
and
I didn't
what's
get to go
going
to
on in your life.
Havasu. I
Right,
wasn't
there we
invited.
go. So like you do have a little bit of power in that. And
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. That's exactly what I'm talking about when it seems like he's glossing over a lot of
Mhm.
past history, where it's
Yeah.
like, I actually understand why a casual viewer might side with him in the edits
Yeah.
that we've seen, because we don't have that context.
Yeah. No, totally. And it's like, Janet said she was having early stress-induced contractions,
Wow.
and Zach knew this, but then he's still like taunting her on his Instagram story with the geotag and
Right.
Big Bear, and like she didn't sleep like that whole night, and it was just like, what? You're just proving who you actually are, and I think he owes her a public apology. Don't know if we'll get it, but hopefully, you know, at least next season, I'm sure there will be that
Yeah.
conversation.
Hopefully. If Janet's open to it. You know, it's like,
I mean,
if I were her, I don't know if I would be.
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, now I think she's in a different place. You know, she has a happy, healthy baby, a happy, healthy marriage. And I think that's a conversation they're going to have.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that I ever see them really repairing their friendship. I could see it eventually, maybe where it's like, okay, we're in the same room. You know, like people can be like cordial with Tom Sandoval and recognize he's a human. Doesn't mean they're best friends again.
Right.
You know, like
Totally.
Lala said that on her podcast today. She did like a bonus episode,
Mhm.
and she was like, I'm not writing for Tom Sandoval. I'm not Team Tom. I just recognized him as a human, and that is all.
Right.
So I feel like maybe Zach will be able to be recognized as a human, but not as a friend.
There we go. I mean, it's also like it's so early in their show still that
Yeah.
like, I hope that like they can at least coexist just for the sake of like the longevity of
Yeah, and I
this
mean,
group, you know.
Brittany, I don't see her cutting out Zach. You know, that was her friend for
Right.
a very long time from back home.
Right.
So
And then Jasmine's also in the middle. There's a lot of like
Yeah.
middlemen here. Do you
No.
watch The Valley and you're like, if I was a friend of this cast, what would I be doing in this situation?
Well, yeah, because there were so many moments
Because you
where
are a real friend of the cast.
yeah, and that's the thing. There are so many events that I was invited to, but I didn't go.
Right.
But I'm like, I mean, yeah, I would have probably been at Kristen's James May thing.
Yeah.
There was like a girls' dinner,
Yeah,
the Jax event. There was, I think Brock even filmed a couple other scenes too that you didn't even see. So we're always like around,
Yeah.
but then I'm like, this is your thing. It's like, you know, when like before I ever had a kid, it's like if you like hold someone's kid, but then you're like, oh, I could give them back. You know, it's like this is your problem.
yeah.
Like it's not mine. Like I could just
And
like,
also, if you
go.
spend too much time with that kid,
Yeah.
you want to take it home. You're like, you want to be
No,
more around it. So-
totally, literally. Yeah. Okay. So to wrap things up,
Yeah.
I have a fun
Okay.
game I thought we could play
Okay.
in a hypothetical situation where Bravo calls you up and hires you to be head of all programming.
Wow.
So how are you going to handle the following?
Ooh, Scheana.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
What do you do with VPR?
So initially, I actually liked the idea of some of you guys going to the Valley
Mhm.
just because it's so natural. And I think that if you look at the group as it stands right now on BPR, it feels just really broken and just like there aren't bridges that can be built. I think after some time, that's probably not true. I think that
Yeah.
as we discussed earlier, I think you just ride it out. I think you have to add some new faces to the mix, though,
Mhm.
whether that is the significant others of certain people or whether that is, I don't know, other friends that are floating around your group that aren't on TV yet somehow.
Yeah.
I do think that the group as it stands needs to be shifted a little bit, whether that's dropping some people or bringing more people on or both. It just feels like it got so dark, you know? But I do like the idea of seeing more of you guys on the Valley, even if it is just sort of guest stints, because
Mhm.
again, like it just feels like you would be there. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, like if Janet has a birthday party this summer, like I would be at Janet's
Yeah.
birthday, but then it's like when it's
I
not
think-
my job, but it's my friend,
I
but then I'm
actually-
like,
I had Sarah Heeran, who works with us weekly on my podcast, and we were talking about it, and she had a really good idea that was sort of just like make it a little bit more fluid on both sides.
yeah.
So if you brought some of the Valley people over to Vanderpump Rules
Yeah.
a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
same thing, vice versa, like that could make it. It would still be sort of a boundary,
Yeah.
in terms of how involved people would get. But I think that like it'd be kind of a fun,
Like Summer House, Winter House.
totally.
Where if you don't watch Winter House, you're gonna miss some things on the next season of
Yes,
Summer House. Mm-hmm.
exactly, and you sort of film around the same time. Where it's, I think that could be kind of interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How do you reshuffle Real Housewives of New Jersey? Do you do like a New York reboot? Do you do something more like Atlanta? Who stays? Who goes? What do you think?
I don't know if I want a full clean slate on that show.
Yeah.
To me, Jersey's about family,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what distinguishes it from other franchises. So either you let go of some people and make it about a new family.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I thought it was really telling the entire season opened with a huge scene of Rachel Fuda's extended family.
Mhm.
She's a new addition. I think that people still have to get more attached to her.
Yeah.
But that was an interesting choice, I thought, and it kind
Yeah.
of could be a potential preview for where the show could go.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want all of them to be gone, especially if you think about like somebody like Jen Fessler, who's so watchable. She's
Yeah.
kind of on the up and up, and it's like you have to imagine she'd be a housewife next season.
Totally.
There's too much promise and too many stars on the show to completely.
Yeah.
I don't want a full New York reboot.
Yeah, I agree. What happens with Summer House? You know, do you bring back both Carl and Lindsay? I mean, how does that work?
They both did interviews, Lindsay with Glamour and Carl with New York Times. They
so-
both indicated that they're down to film with one
Okay.
another and coexist. And I do not know what that looks like. I kind of think it would be what
Right.
we were just talking about in terms of like they just kind of live in the same house,
Mhm.
I guess. I kind of want the cast to pretty much stay the same. I think that this past season was lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the same, but there's a nice chemistry here. Depending on how the reunion ends,
Right.
I'd like to see it more or less the same.
Okay.
I would.
What former cast members would you like to see brought back across existing shows, like to Vanderpump Rules or Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Southern Charm?
Your show is tough because I feel like there aren't that many past people that like are down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I think Charlie was great, but she never fully got a fair shake on the show, I
Mhm.
guess. Dana was on for one season, and I think that it seems like she doesn't really want to be like on the show anymore. So
Yeah.
I think Vanderpump Rules is tough. I think it has to be, again, new people.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other shows where I think on Miami, I think it'd be interesting if they added this woman, Anna, who kind of showed up last season. She clearly wants to be part of it. And
Mhm.
that's a big part of trying to find these people who want to return. Again, Jersey, the cast has remained the same for so long.
Yeah.
Like, who would you bring back? I think Atlanta is where you have a lot of people. Like, they're obviously working on this season now,
Yeah.
but it's like there's a lot of great women who have been on that show
Mm-hmm.
that I would like to see back. And in my dreams, Monique would be back on Potomac, but I don't think that will ever happen.
Yeah. What about if you could bring back one show on Bravo? What would it be?
Before I rewatched it, when it was added to Peacock, I would have said NYC Prep.
Uh-huh.
Because that's just like such a whatever. You know what show you know what? This is a really hard question, Scheana.
I miss Shaw's.
Shaw's is really, and like they've kept those three just sort of like floating around.
Mhm.
That would be really great to bring back. You know, I rewatched Real Houses of DC recently.
Mm-hmm.
Those women had some promise.
Yeah.
They had some promise. And I think that like if they hadn't canceled it 10, 15 years ago, or whatever it was, they'd be filming at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Now it would
Right, it would be so
like
different.
back then,
Yeah.
reality TV had like kind of a stink to it in the broader pop
Yeah.
culture. But now it's like people want a piece of the Vanderpump pie. They want a
Mhm.
piece of the Real Housewives pie. They would have been invited to all these legit events
Yeah.
now. And I think that would have been cool to see.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Is there any new programming that you would like to see? Like maybe a Housewives franchise in a new city? Younger generation.
I do think that we have Atlanta, but I think another Southern show could be interesting. We
Uh-huh.
had Dallas, doesn't exist. Nashville could be good if it's like sort of like country music
Ooh.
adjacent. Kind of like
Yeah.
have a country musician or a country musician's wife on there. Could be
Okay.
really good.
I like that.
And I also think, you know, Bravo has so many gay viewers, but there's no show about gay people.
Right.
You know, like certain shows have certain gay people on them,
Yeah.
which is great. But they have not been able to find a show about gay people that works. So I
Mhm.
think if they found a gay friend group in LA, New York, somewhere else, who knows?
Yeah.
Why don't
Palm
we?
Springs.
Palm Springs. I think that'd be kind of great.
I like that.
Yeah.
Any shows that you would like to see put on pause?
I think it was right for Winter House to be put on pause. I will say that.
Mhm.
I was sad to hear about Martha's Vineyard because I think
Yeah.
if you think about the original Summer House, remember those first 2 seasons? It was like the work of twins are around. It was kind of like it wasn't really working.
Yeah.
But then they added Paige, Hannah.
That's when I started watching
and
it. I didn't
Jordan.
watch the
And
first 2 seasons.
The first 2 seasons, you don't need to watch them.
I know.
But there's that reset they did in their 3rd season set
Mhm.
them up on this trajectory they've been on ever since.
Yeah.
And I just wish that Martha's Vineyard had gotten that chance because there
Yeah.
was a lot of promise. It just needed some shuffling
Mm-hmm.
to go around. Right now, is there any other show that I think should be on pause? Not really. I mean, you guys are on like an extended hiatus. It's just sort of like, you know, like CDs used to skip a little bit. That's what it is. It's not a pause.
Right.
It's just like a little scratch. You know what I mean?
Totally.
That's what I view where you guys stand right now.
Yeah.
No, I would be shocked if that happened to your
Yeah.
show because then I don't want that to happen to your show.
No.
Like, please.
Something has to change, but I don't think that was it for us.
Yeah.
Sitting at the reunion watching that, it felt extremely final. And Andy was like, I thought that too, but like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And like you've had seasons where it felt like that at the end before, you know? And,
Season
like,
5,
things
I
come
thought
back.
it was done. The wedding ended so beautifully. No one fought, and we're like, are we done? And then I got divorced. And not that like saved anything. You know, it was just the show I think was still good, but it was just the way it ended.
Right.
I was like, oh,
Even
that was happy.
Even last season, the scene at Pump when it was kind of an emotional scene.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that was going to be the finale.
Before
and that could have been the
Scandal.
series finale.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I
know.
thought it wasn't. But yeah, no, you guys, I'm not
We're always like, how can we do this again? And then we do it again.
If I'm the head of programming, I'm not putting you on pause.
Yes.
Okay.
Love it.
Can I ask you who you would bring back to any show? Like somebody who you were friends with on another show? I know you talked about Crystal, but like.
Yeah, I think I would like to see Rinna back on Housewives. I think, you know, she's the perfect amount of messy.
Yeah.
And
She needed a pause though.
yeah, for sure. But and you know, I would like Stassi to come back.
I mean, that's a fever dream. And same.
Yeah, even if it was just as a friend, just a couple pop-ins, a couple play dates, you know, because we don't get Ocean on the show.
Mhm.
And Summer and
Summer needs
Hartford
yeah.
do hang out. And so I'm like, come back. Just a little bit,
But,
maybe.
like, is she, you know, like she publicly really indicates that she doesn't want to do that.
And
She's so
her
closed off.
life
is it
is
the same personally?
her life is in a really good place.
Yeah.
You know, it would have to
Hard to
make
mess with
sense and
that.
it would have to be right. But I think with us being on pause, it gives some more time to think about it, maybe change your mind.
Scheana, I'm giving you a summer project.
Yeah, right?
Plant the seeds.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
I don't know.
All right. Well, thank you for
Thank
getting
you,
into
Scheana.
shenanigans with me. Everyone, be sure to check out Gibson's podcast, Gabbing with Gib. All right, let's go have a fun night in New York.
Let's go.
Been searching for this all my life. You're just my type. I've been looking